Welcome. In this video I'm going to make a very simple LED mood light based on the letter L, and it's basically following on from a video I made a few weeks ago in which I explored making an LED mood light, and the video seems to have just had a problem there, but there you go, we're back again. My first prototype was this S here, and then I moved on and the video looked more exclusively at making this A here. So this is all part of the same playlist. Check those out. There's plenty of detail there. What I liked about the S was the fact that the LEDs are in a continuous line, like a series path, which makes my life super easy. If I was doing a form like a T, I'd have the LED strips coming up the middle, and then they would branch off left and right at the top. And it's not a major problem, but that can make your soldering more challenging. So choosing a letter like an S or an L, where the LEDs are going to be just in a line, actually makes the soldering quite straightforward. So let's have a look. There's my design I'm going to work with. Super simple. I've chosen 30mm for the width of the L because then I know that the LED lights themselves, which have a width of just under 10mm, it's actually I think 8.5, but if you go with 10 it's a bit of tolerance there. I know those LED strips are going to fit in that space, and I've also gone with 30 because this was slightly narrower, but I made this improved design 30mm with the acrylic on the top. So this acrylic is 3mm thick, therefore I made the 3D extrusion 27mm. 27 plus 3 makes 30. Okay, so that's my thinking behind my design. I'm going to try and do this in about 10 minutes, so I'm going to keep this really simple and hopefully straightforward. Here we are in Fusion 360. I can't see anything yet. What I need to do is start a new sketch, and I need to choose which workplane to make the new sketch on. So let's come to Create New Sketch, the button here at the top. I'm going to click, and I want to work on the front workplane, which is this workplane right here. I click on this. We view orthographically onto that new workplane, and you can see I've got some grid lines here and some numbers on the grid line. And this is really important. This is the origin here. When you're working in Fusion 360, always work from a reference point, and that reference point is going to be the origin. In 2D design, that didn't matter. I can draw anywhere on this drawing area. In fact, the origin is down there. But I need to reference it, I need to anchor it to somewhere in the 3D space. And I'm going to choose the most logical place. I'm going to choose the bottom left corner of the L to anchor the shape. Now I drew this L here basically using two rectangles, and I'm going to do the same over here. I'm going to get the 2-point rectangle tool, I'm going to start on the origin, and I'm going to start to draw this out. I could try to snap to the grid, which is what I'm doing right now, and try and make it the right size. But I would strongly suggest that in Fusion 360, instead, you type the number that you want it to be into the dimension line. Now the dimension line, I can't put my mouse over it because as I mouse around, you can see the dimension lines are moving. But the dimension line is currently the number highlighted in blue that says 20, and that hopefully clearly says that's the width of this rectangle. And you can see over here that I want to have this 30mm in on 2D design. So I'm going to dial in there 30, and then now I want to go to the other dimension line that currently says 71.003. To do that, I'm going to press the Tab key on the keyboard, and the Tab key is the key to the left of the Q key on a QWERTY keyboard, so top left. Press the Tab key and it switches between those two dimension lines. So this vertical dimension I can see wants to be 140 as indicated on my 2D CAD file. So I will type in there or dial in 140 and press enter. Now I can see that it's created a solid profile, or a complete profile here, because it's turned pale blue kind of, or yellow when I mouse off, and I want to wheel mouse out here so I can see things nice and clearly. If you're working with a trackpad, by the way, please work with a mouse. It makes your life so much easier. So now I'm going to have the rectangle down here. Let's go back to the rectangle tool. I'm going to go back to the origin. I'm going to bring this across, and in the same way, I'm going to type in 30mm there for the height of this horizontal L, press the Tab key, and 100mm for the length, and press enter, and that looks great. Okay, I'm also going to just trim these lines away. Am I? Aren't I? You know, I'm not going to bother. I could trim them away. Let's just see what happens. It's in the modify option. It's the T is the shortcut to trim. If I trim that away, yeah, look, I get like a dimensional kind of warning there. It's not a major problem, but you know what? I'm just going to leave them in there. It's not going to cause any problems. There we are. Undo, and I've got them back. or is it? Let's just see. Is it going to cause a problem? I want to do the offset here for the wall thickness. So what I mean by this is I've got the wall thickness here of my S and of my A, and I'm going to set that wall thickness to be 2.5 millimeters. So let's go back to Fusion 360. Let's come to the offset tool. I'm going to have to select the line I want to offset, and let's see, it's selecting this line. Can I select that line as well? Yes, so this actually now is causing me a bit of a problem because I want to be able to just select this profile. So I'm going to cancel that, and I am going to have to come to the trim tool, and I am going to have to trim that back and trim that back. And it says it's caused a problem, but I don't think it's a significant problem. I'm going to press the escape key to lose that tool. I think all I need to do here is potentially just bring that dimension line to the top and bring that dimension line to the end, although look, that then introduces those marks there. No, I'll leave it as it is. Let's just take those dimension lines further out. I don't really want to have this happening where I'm having the dimension lines overlapping. That's bad practice. I'm going to just bring that down. Okay, so hopefully we can see that that dimension line extends across onto this distance here. Right, where was I? Offset, modify, offset. Okay, now can I select that profile? Yes, I can. Notice, by the way, all this time I'm still modifying the same sketch. I haven't finished this sketch and started a new sketch. I'm constantly working on the same sketch. Let's dial in here a thickness of the offset there of 2.5 millimeters and confirm, and that shows my wall thickness. Okay, wonderful. While I'm at this, I'm going to add in that same wall thickness on this drawing here. Let's come to the contour tool. So this is not offset, this is contour. Let's dial in there 2.5, and in this case, I'm going to go to a graphical path. I'll let you check out what happens with the tool path. I want a graphical path. And then I'm going to click on the inside edge of the L, and look, it gives a nice contour there, or offset of 2.5 millimeters. That's exactly the same process as I've just done here. It's just a slightly different set of tools. Okay, or the same result at least. Right, now let's take this into 3D. So I'm going to stop or finish the sketch at this point. I can click here or down here. I'm going to wheel out, zoom out there with the wheel mouse, and what I'm going to do first of all is create just this wall thickness. I'm not going to worry about the back, I'm just going to create this wall thickness. Okay, so I'm going to come to the extrude tool, and I'm going to click on where this wall thickness is, and I'm going to bring this out 27 millimeters. So if you remember, I wanted to have a depth here of 30 millimeters, but my acrylic is 3 millimeters in thickness, so that leaves me 27 millimeters for the 3D print. So let's dial it either in here or into here, 27 millimeters, and notice it goes into the drawing. For me, and I could leave it like that, but for me, I want it to come out of the drawing. So I'm going to make this negative 27. So it's coming out towards me, and that's also going to, I think, going to make it easier for me when I'm adding on like the backing piece here for my design. Okay, so that's looking good. It's going to be a new body. Notice when I confirm this, it says Origin and Sketches. When I confirm, suddenly now I've got a new feature in my project browser which says bodies. If I expand this down, I can see I've got this new body one, and I can make that visible or invisible by clicking on this eye. I can also double click on this as well, and I can call this, for example, L extrusion. Now in this particular case, this project is not too important because it's a very simple project, but if I had a far more complicated 3D project with multiple parts, multiple extrusions, multiple sketches, multiple components, well, you can imagine how crazy it can get. So actually labeling your bodies and your sketches, there's my sketch, so I might call this L sketch. Does become really important. And notice as well that when I double clicked on that, I went into the edit sketch mode. Anyway, I don't want to modify that at the moment. I've just renamed it. Okay, now what I also need to do as well here is put a backing on this. Let's just come back to the camera. In fact, what I think I'm going to do at this point is just have the camera and Fusion 360 running. So I'm talking about this back bit here. As you can see, this design at the moment has no backing to it. So what I'm going to do at this point is I'm going to make the body there, my extrusion, disappear, and I'm going to make the sketch visible again. And I want to do an extrusion just of this middle part of the L. This is going to have the same thickness as the wall thickness here of the S, so I'm going to put this to 2.5, but again I want this not to be going out of the back of the design. I want it to be coming out of the screen towards me to the left. And in fact, if I bring my body back in here, I can see that, look, my body is coming forwards 27 millimeters, but at the moment I've got this backing piece kind of coming away from the body. So again, I need to make that negative so it comes into my shape. And if I just spin that round there, now you can see how it's coming into my 3D form. And I want to make sure I am joining these two parts together. If I have it as a new body, I'll have them as two separate bodies, and that's not quite what I want. I want to have it extruded as one solid body. So I'm going to join it and confirm. And that basically is my L shape completed. There we are. It's all ready to go. What I haven't done with this, of course, is I haven't put in my cutout for my micro USB port. As I said in my other videos, this is a very rough and ready one because I created this without having access to the micro USB port and PCB there. For the updated video that I did for my A, I had access to my micro USB port, and I was able to make this nice, beautiful, neat cutout and fit everything perfectly. So if you want to see how to do that, check out the video tutorials I made for making my A. And the other thing to mention about making that micro USB cutout is that when I do that, what I would suggest you do is not make a new sketch. Don't go to create new sketch and then create one on this front work plane. Instead, what I would suggest you do, escape that, is right click on this original sketch, edit the sketch, and then introduce the details, the cutout there for that micro USB port. And then once you've finished that sketch, edit this extrusion here, that feature, so that when we extrude that back panel, we extrude it with this cutout in that extrusion. So basically you'll leave this hollow for my micro USB port and PCB. So there we go. That is my product finished. I'm just going to cancel that. Let's go back into the 3D view. I've got my 2D CAD file. I've got my 3D CAD file in Fusion 360. We're all, apart from my cutout there for my micro USB port, we're all ready to 3D print.